Many trauma survivors have overcome incredible odds, and that includes living with a narcissist. My dear friend here today, Carrie Timothy, has not only overcome herself, but she is helping, hundreds of people, if not more, to overcome as well. So, Carrie, I'm so happy to have you with us. And I would love for you to share what you do and how you became passionate about it.
All right. Well, first of all, thank you for having me. I'm honored to be here. It's been a privilege to help women. My experience with a narcissist happened around 2016. I was at a vulnerable place in my life. I didn't know my self-worth. I was trying to find somebody to care for me and to provide what I didn't know how to give myself. And I think at that time there was a desperation that I just wanted to feel loved. They were feeding me where I was in need. That type of person was very strong and very powerful, just able to meet me to where I felt amazing. I felt beautiful. I felt like I mattered. I felt like everything would be okay in my life. Unfortunately, once we were in a relationship, it was good at the beginning, like it always is with a person that is chasing after you and getting to know you and getting to know your vulnerabilities and how much you love people and the kindness and the caring personality you offer. And I think after really studying me and getting to know how I could give them something they could use against me, so we got to a place where I lost myself, didn't really know who I was. It just was a relationship where it was all about this other person. And once I lost who I was and gave that person over to them, and they were able to take advantage of that, I think is when the abuse started to happen. It ended with him actually striking me and causing me to have a series of wounds on my body. And he was arrested and taken out of my life. So I was able to regain my strength from that, but I was still at a very vulnerable place because I really didn't know who I was. It was hard to get back to finding myself again and to valuing me and to thinking that anybody would love me because of the way he devalued me. It was one of the hardest things I've ever done.
Well, thank you for sharing that. I'm so sorry that you went through that, but I know that it is helping you with your purpose today. When people hear the word narcissist and gaslighting, those can be sometimes misused. I feel like it became a lot more popular nowadays to say it, which is great for one reason because now women, especially, are realizing I'm not crazy. This is a thing. This is actually a thing, and men too. But on the other hand, sometimes we hear it misused. So can you explain from what you've learned, not just from your own experiences, but from your studies as a mental health therapist, what is a narcissist and what are some of the tactics that they use?
A narcissist is a person who is typically about control, somebody who has no empathy, who is out to hurt, destroy, destruct, and take. I would say it is a very broken human who never got the help that they needed and never really knew the meaning of love. We have people that want the best for people, and we have people that just want to take and hurt because they've been hurt. There's a script for a narcissist, and it's typically the same one. There's a little variety of the ways that they do practice, or the way they're predators, and just remove the goodness in somebody's heart. So the different tactics I would say that they use, there's several, but the main ones would be gaslighting. So basically making you think that they're right and they know better. Doing a lot of interchanging with your thought patterns and the way your mind works. So they're always going to know best. Trying to make you doubt yourself, trying to make you think that you're wrong all the time, trying to make you think you owe something to them, trying to make you feel very belittled and almost desperate for them to be in your life in order for you to breathe, to survive.
Twist reality.
Yeah.
It's like I know from my own experience, there would be times that I knew that I knew that I knew that I was right. And even when I would catch him, he would still try. And finally, when it was absolutely, he had to tell me the truth, he would. And then I would be like, you let me suffer for weeks, months, thinking that I was a bad wife. I wasn't doing my job. I should pray more. and you knew the whole time you were lying, but he twisted reality so much that he had me apologizing for not trusting him.
Yes.
And I remember thinking, I feel like I'm going crazy.
Mm.
And you mentioned that they study you. I think it's really important to elaborate on this because they really do have these ways that are very strategic.
Mhm.
And so, can you elaborate on the whole studying process?
I think there's always an agenda. There's always a meaning to what they're doing. Typically, someone who is vulnerable, someone who's usually very intelligent, very successful, and very emotional. And they take all of that and they study you as if they see, okay, what is she like or he? What are they good at? Where are some of their weaker links? Where do they struggle? Just getting to know the person from the inside out, twist into um, allowing them to feel power and control. And once they gather what they need to, I think that's when they begin to take it away.
And then with that, you see that these people are like, wow, they're so sweet. They're asking all these
Yeah.
questions about me. They barely talk about themselves.
Hmm.
And it becomes like this thing in your head where you think it's a good thing, but
Hmm.
reality is they're actually studying so they have ammo later. If they have a feeling that they may be with a narcissist, what would you say are some signs?
One of the biggest signs that I've noticed is they're fast and they're quick and they have they come on very strong and they come on very, like a very big love bombing. They want you to think that they really care and that they're really interested and they want to help you in your life. And they want you to know that they think that you're the most amazing person, the most beautiful person, the most successful person, that you basically can do no wrong. They feed that part of your brain to think that you're being reassured and validated and admired and everything that you're looking for. So that's one flag that I've noticed. The lack of boundaries.
They want to look like this amazing person in public. They find little little small ways to put you
Yeah,
down to try to
yeah.
look better, and then the person is questioning themselves.
Hmm.
And I know that the silent treatment was another thing that I dealt
Hmm.
with. That when they're not talking to you and they're not expressing, communicating with you, you start to just get so much anxiety and you'll do anything to just get them to love you again. So then you put aside yourself.
Hmm. I think projection is a big one too. So, like anytime that they're angry, they project that onto you. And it's typically if they're not getting their way, if they're not feeling, that you're admiring them or you're believing and trusting in them or that they're not up on that pedestal, it's typically your fault and your problem. So, projection is a very big way to build more of a self doubt into the
Yeah.
victim and to cause them to question themselves, feel as though they're not enough and everything they do could be wrong. They're always feeling like everything they say or they do is not okay. And then, it creates health problems and anxiety and stressors within their body. They typically go into a place where they're not healthy anymore.
Are there people that are more susceptible to be a narcissist or the person that the narcissist searches for? So we hear the word codependent. Are there things from childhood, or is there something that would make somebody more apt to be either the narcissist or the person that is being abused?
Yes, the narcissist would typically be somebody that has been raised to do what they want, when they want, how they want, very little guidelines, a lack of unconditional love, somebody who just never really known that they're good enough. They've just been taught to always be in power and in control to feel a sense of worth and safety.
Mhm.
The codependent, which likes to find the narcissist and vice versa, they are usually born or raised in a role where they've had to care for somebody, they've had to let go of who they are, of what their identity is or what their purpose is to make sure somebody else is okay. So that person would always be happy and safe. And so they typically don't know how to put their needs first. They find these people who want to control them and want to choose them and make them feel purposeful And then you've got the codependent who's feeling, wow, they want me, they love me, they're gonna believe in me finally, because I've always been somebody who's done everything for everyone else, and all of a sudden this person's pursuing me.
Yeah.
So the pursuit is not for the better of the codependent, it's to control and take away their freedom and their life.
And it would be easy to be like, well, shouldn't we feel bad for them if they were in a childhood issue that caused to be a narcissist? And yes, of course, we have grace. God gives us grace.
Mhm.
And I believe that people can change. However, with time, you have to start to take accountability. If your partner had a horrible childhood, but they're not changing it, there comes a point where we could blame every generation
Yeah.
prior. So when does that,
Yeah.
when does that stop? And so I think it's important that if you are dealing with narcissists or you have, that you're not holding on to that guilt of what they went through. I know I did for years.
Yeah.
God just revealed to me even just a month ago that I've dealt with so much guilt.
Mm-hmm.
And letting that go is so powerful.
Mm-hmm.
I want you to also explain the amazing things that you're doing now. So you are a survivor yourself and you got out of it. So please tell us what you're doing now, because with Survivor Empowered, we love to highlight women or men who have been through trauma and are now rocking life. Please share with us what you're doing now for people.
I felt that I had the healing I needed for me to start being more in that helping role. In 2023, I started seeing women individually who were in very abusive situations and relationships. I walked them through, and sometimes I actually was counseling the married couple. There was a lot of discerning, and the woman would come in and we would get some tools on how to work things out. And it was more of educating, helping them understand like what safety is. We created a safe space, just even not only in the marital relationship that they had, but it was more in the individual sessions that they would come in and still ask, well, is this okay, Carrie? Is this good for me? What do you think? What is the right thing that God would want me to have, or that would be good for me to be in a healthy situation, or for me to make good decisions to protect my children? And it was very organic and natural because I was basically just helping them build their confidence and their esteem and know their worth. That organically allowed them to see, oh wow, this is a bigger situation than when I wanted to be in or I ever really knew I was in.
Yeah.
And it's not normal for me to be yelled at and for things to be taken away and for me to be punished and for me to be physically, mentally hurt. And, I'm like, well, that's probably not healthy for you. So let's find what is healthy for you.
Right.
And now we have a group for women. It's amazing to see as they're together. I'm seeing all these little lights shining and this feistiness coming out, and we're laughing and
Yeah.
crying, and they're just gracious, and they're finding their strength, they're finding their worth, they're finding they're not crazy.
Please tell us the name of your group and your practice so that if you're in the Tampa Bay, Pasco County area, you can come see Carrie because she's pretty incredible.
Our practice is Empowered Path Counseling. I just had my group last night and I'm still like overwhelmed with how much good is happening just in the room, and it's a blessing.
If you had a woman come to you and say, Carrie, give me some advice to do what you've done. You've overcome, you're now helping others. What advice would you give them?
I would definitely say heal first.
Yes.
I think just showing them where their identity is. It's not in man, it's not in friends, in the amount of money you make. It's not in taking care of people. It's in the Lord. And that is truly where you find your peace, the foundation you create to find truly what you're made to do, what your purpose is in this life. If you want to help people in any area, you have to know who you are.
I think it's super important that we remember that abuse is not only physical. So if you are dealing with this, it is abuse, and please seek help. I am a recovering codependent. I totally get everything she's saying because I lived it, I breathed it. My whole being was wrapped around this person, and I realized it was my addiction. And once you get out of that and you breathe the fresh air of not having that, you will never want to go back. And you should always have hope. Thank you so much,
You're
Carrie, for
welcome.
educating us and for bringing clarity to this. And I pray that someone is not only blessed by this, but freed from this.